Welcome back to History of Simple Things. Today's topic comes from one of our viewers, Carter here. Thanks for the suggestion. You asked, why do airports use long paths for planes to land? If you've ever looked out the window during a flight and wondered why the airport seems so close while the airplane continues flying for several more minutes, you're not alone. Those wide turns, long approaches, and seemingly indirect routes aren't random at all. So why don't pilots simply point the aircraft straight at the runway and land? Stick around as we uncover the fascinating reasons behind airport landing paths, right here on History of Simple Things. In the early days of aviation, landing procedures were much simpler. Aircraft were slower, lighter, and flew at lower altitudes than modern airliners. Many early airports were little more than open fields, and pilots often landed by sight, choosing their approach based on weather conditions and surrounding obstacles. As commercial aviation expanded during the 1930s and 1940s, airports became busier, and aircraft became much larger and faster. The introduction of radio navigation systems allowed pilots to follow specific routes to airports. Later, radar systems and advanced instrument landing procedures made it possible to guide aircraft safely even in poor visibility. Over time, airports developed carefully planned approach corridors designed to accommodate increasing numbers of flights while maintaining high safety standards. One of the biggest reasons planes use long landing paths is that airliners need time to slow down and descend gradually. A jet cruising at around 10,000 meters altitude cannot simply drop toward the runway like an elevator. Pilots must carefully reduce speed, adjust engine power, and configure the aircraft for landing. During this process, flaps and slats are extended to increase lift and drag, allowing the airplane to fly safely at lower speeds. The landing gear is also deployed before touchdown. All of these changes require time and distance. A gradual descent is not only safer but also more comfortable for passengers. A steep dive toward the runway would create excessive forces and make controlling the aircraft much more difficult. Instead, modern airliners typically descend along a gentle glide path that stretches many kilometers from the airport. Another major reason for long landing routes is traffic control. Airports often have dozens or even hundreds of aircraft arriving and departing every day. Air traffic controllers must carefully separate these aircraft to prevent conflicts. Think of it like cars approaching a busy highway exit. If everyone tried to merge at the same time, chaos would result. Aircraft face a similar challenge, except they are moving at hundreds of kilometers per hour in three-dimensional space. Controllers assign specific arrival routes that help organize incoming traffic into orderly sequences. These routes often include turns, holding patterns, and designated approach corridors. By stretching arrivals over a larger area, controllers can safely manage many aircraft at once while maintaining required separation distances. Airlines place enormous emphasis on what is known as a stabilized approach. This means that by a certain point before landing, the aircraft should be at the correct speed, altitude, descent rate, and configuration. Long approach paths help pilots achieve these conditions. They provide enough time to complete checklists, communicate with air traffic control, monitor weather conditions, and make any necessary adjustments. If an aircraft approaches too fast or too high, pilots may have to abandon the landing and perform a go-around. A longer approach gives crews more opportunities to correct minor issues before reaching the runway. reducing the likelihood of needing to try again. The landscape surrounding an airport also influences landing paths. Airports are often located near mountains, hills, cities, or other obstacles that must be avoided. For example, some airports require aircraft to follow curved approaches to stay clear of terrain. Others direct planes over water whenever possible to reduce noise for nearby residents. Certain airports even have specially designed arrival procedures that balance safety with environmental concerns. This is why the route you see on one flight may be completely different from the route used at another airport. Every location presents unique challenges that influence how aircraft are guided to the runway. Today's aircraft rely on advanced navigation systems that can follow highly precise flight paths. Technologies such as GPS-based approaches allow planes to fly routes with remarkable accuracy. These systems help airports maximize efficiency while maintaining safety. Instead of pilots improvising their way to the runway, aircraft can follow predetermined paths designed by aviation experts. The result is smoother traffic flow, reduced workload for controllers, and safer operations overall. What may appear to be an unnecessarily long route is usually the product of decades of aviation experience, engineering, and planning. The next time you're sitting by the window during a flight and wondering why the plane seems to circle or take a long route before landing, remember that every turn and every kilometer serves a purpose. Those extended approach paths allow aircraft to descend safely, slow down gradually, and arrive in a controlled manner. Far from being wasted time, those final minutes before touchdown represent one of the most carefully managed phases of flight. They help pilots, controllers, and airports work together to bring thousands of passengers safely to the ground every day. What looks like a simple landing is actually a highly coordinated operation that begins long before the wheels ever touch the runway. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.